The ghost of my slaughtered pack haunted my every breath, fueling a vengeance I swore would consume me. Now she stood before me, the very she-wolf who led the massacre, broken and begging for the one thing I swore she'd never claim. My mark, my name, my Luna title. Her emerald eyes, once cold with contempt, now mirrored a raw, desperate fear I craved to see, yet somehow found myself resisting. The mate bond, a cruel twist of fate, throbbed between us, mocking my hatred with an undeniable pull that defied all logic, promising a war not just of packs, but of souls. Think you know werewolf romance? Think again. This story is stained with blood and desperation. A story where an alpha's vengeance gets tangled with the impossible pull of his fated enemy. If you're up for a love story that defies every rule and blurs the lines between enemy and soulmate, then like this video, subscribe to our channel if you are new here, and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Back to the story. The harsh, unforgiving wind carried the faint, unsettling scent of raw desperation, a siren call that pricked at Alexander's senses, pulling him from his solitary vigil atop the highest, most desolate ridge of his shattered territory. 5 agonizing years. 5 years since the Autumn Pack, under Scott's cunning and ruthless command, had swept through Silverstone like a wildfire, leaving behind nothing but the ash of homes, the bone-deep chill of death, and the hollow echoes of his pack's final howls. But it was her face that materialized, unbidden, in his waking nightmares, her image etched into his soul, fueling the relentless, burning furnace of his rage. Mia, the Autumn Pack's war leader, a she-wolf whose movements had been a lethal ballet, masking a terrifying, almost detached efficiency. He recalled her vibrant emerald eyes, clear and sharp, overseeing the massacre, a chilling contrast to the blinding grief that had consumed him. He'd seen her, a sleek, dark blur of fur, fangs bared, ripping through his warriors, her triumphant snarl echoing in the chaos. He remembered the cold fire in her eyes as she stood over fallen Silverstone wolves, a stark opposition to the raw, visceral agony that had ripped through him. He had lived for the day he would see her broken, begging for the very mercy she had so ruthlessly denied his pack. And now she was here. He descended the ridge, a grim shadow sliding through the gaunt, skeletal trees, his surviving pack members, a mere 20 souls, scarred and wary, their eyes holding the perpetual flicker of lost hope, already gathering, their hackles rising, a low, collective growl vibrating in their chests at the foreign scent of intrusion. A profound, almost tangible fear radiated from the lone figure huddled at the border, a scent Alexander savored, drinking it in like a bitter wine. Yet, it was laced with something else, a desperate, vulnerable honesty that pricked at his alpha instincts, a maddening contradiction that clawed at his tightly leashed fury. Mia. She looked different from his memories, smaller, more fragile, a ghost of her former self. Her once sleek dark fur was matted with grime and burrs, her once proud posture slumped, defeated. Her vibrant emerald eyes, which he remembered gleaming with cold command, were now shadowed with an exhaustion that went bone deep, and a profound, heartbreaking fear that made his own wolf stir with an unwanted ache. Yet, despite the years and the grime, his inner wolf roared her name, a primal, guttural recognition that ripped through his gut, cold as mountain ice, hot as molten iron. Mate, the word was a searing brand on his soul, igniting a furious, internal battle between the primal, undeniable pull of destiny and the bitter, unyielding hatred that had sustained him through endless, haunted nights. He strode forward, his anger a visible, crackling aura that crackled in the cold air, stopping mere feet from her. Damien, his loyal second in command, a hulking male whose face was a roadmap of angry, faded scars from that devastating day, snarled, his wolf straining against his human form, his knuckles white. Alpha, she's a trespasser, a murderer. What's she doing here in our sacred territory? Mia flinched, a full-body tremor, at Damien's raw accusation, her head snapping up, her eyes, wide and luminous, fixed on Alexander. He saw it then, stark and unmistakable. The silent plea, the desperate, raw hope in their depths. She was indeed begging. The raw humiliation of it clung to her like a shroud. "Alexander," she whispered, her voice a dry, rasping sound against the wind, barely audible above the rising, mournful howl of the breeze. "Please, I need your help. Scott, he's hunting me. He'll kill me if he finds me." Alexander felt his jaw clench, his teeth aching with the desire to shift and tear. "Help?" he growled, the word a bitter, mocking laugh that tasted like ash in his mouth. "You beg for help from the very wolf whose pack you systematically destroyed? You massacred Silverstone, Mia. You led the charge. I saw you." His voice rose, fueled by 5 years of suppressed, agonizing rage, each syllable echoing like a ghost through the desolate clearing. Every desperate scream, every choked plea, every agonizing drop of blood, every fallen brother and sister. You were there, Mia, standing over their broken bodies, your eyes devoid of mercy. Mia recoiled, her body curling inward, a profound, soul-deep shame radiating from her like a physical heat, almost scorching the desolate ground. "I know," she murmured, tears now tracing clean paths down her grimy cheeks, leaving stark streaks on her dirt-stained face. "I know what you saw, what you think you saw, but it wasn't what it seemed. Please, Alexander, let me speak. Let me explain. Scott, he manipulated me. He twisted every truth, every sacred loyalty. He threatened the Autumn Pack. He had them cornered, innocent pups, defenseless elders. He forced my hand, Alexander. He poisoned my pack against yours, whispered insidious lies until I believed Silverstone was a monstrous, conquering threat, a plague we had to eradicate for our very survival." Alexander scoffed, the sound harsh, devoid of warmth, like stones grinding. "Lies, convenient excuses. You were a willing soldier, Mia, a savage war leader for Scott's vile ambition. Your pack devoured ours with a hunger I will never forget, a scar on my soul. I was a desperate fool," she cried, her voice cracking, raw with self-condemnation, tearing at the very fabric of the tense silence. "A desperate alpha trying to protect her own from a monster far worse than anything you can imagine. He promised protection if I complied. He swore our children would live, that our elders would be spared. He threatened to burn our forests to the ground, to salt the earth, to leave nothing but ash. He has a power, a dark magic that twists loyalty, that makes you see enemies where there are none. He used the river's pack against us both, Alexander, setting us against each other in a bloody war that served only his ambition, his insatiable hunger for absolute power." Her head lifted, her emerald eyes blazing with a raw, desperate honesty that pierced through Alexander's hardened rage, settling in his gut with an unsettling, icy chill. "I chose the survival of my pack over my soul. And now, he hunts me because I defied him, because I refused to let him do it again, to let him consume all life. He found an ancient, corrupted relic, a source of untamed, malevolent power, and he wants to merge it with my Luna bond to gain ultimate, unchallengeable control over all the packs. He needs the Luna of a powerful alpha to complete the ritual. He thinks he can force me to be his Luna, to become his instrument, if he captures me." Alexander stared, his mind reeling, a maelstrom of conflicting, agonizing emotions. Scott, the ruthless alpha of the Autumn Pack, was indeed known for his cunning and insatiable ambition, but dark magic? A cursed relic that could twist Aluna's very essence, to make her an unwilling conduit of chaos? The story, wild and improbable, resonated with a faint, unsettling echo of truth, a cold current that grated against his hardened skepticism, a whisper of dark lore he'd only heard in ancient tales. And the mate bond, thrumming between them, a silent, insistent pulse, hot and cold, complicated everything. It demanded truth, it demanded clarity, it demanded a brutal choice, despite his wolf's guttural screams for immediate, bloody vengeance. "You speak of dark magic, Mia," he said, his voice dangerously low, a tremor of controlled fury, tight as a drawn bowstring. "You speak of a ritual that ties Aluna's power to ultimate control. Explain. Every detail. No more riddles." Mia's gaze darted nervously to the remaining Silverstone wolves, their faces grim, etched with pain, their eyes burning with raw, untempered hatred. "I can't. Not here. Not now." Scott's influence. His reach is far, his shadows long. He has spies even in the air. His corrupted energy taints the very essence of trust. "Please, Alexander. He's coming for me, for the Luna within me. He won't stop until he possesses it, until he defiles it for his own vile purpose." Her plea was not just for her life, but for the purity of the mate bond, for the sacred power she knew Scott coveted and intended to twist into an instrument of ultimate destruction. Alexander stood, a battleground of warring instincts. Revenge screamed for her death, demanded immediate, bloody satisfaction for his fallen pack. But the mate bond, a silent, powerful command, a burning truth deeper than any hatred, demanded her survival, her truth, her protection. And if her wild, desperate tale was true, if Scott was indeed a greater, more insidious evil than even his imagination could conjure, then his pack, his shattered, grieving pack, might need her. He had to know. He had to make a choice that defied his very nature, a choice that could either break him utterly or forge him anew in the crucible of impossible decisions. "Bring her," Alexander commanded, his voice clipped, a sharp edge of pain, his gaze locked on Damien's enraged face, challenging him, daring him to defy the Alpha's command. "But she will be secured, every move watched, any sign of deception, any flicker of treachery, and she dies. Slowly, agonizingly." Damien snarled, his wolf straining against his human form, a guttural sound of raw defiance, of bitter, unconcealed hatred. "Alpha, you can't trust her. She destroyed us. She's poison, a viper in our midst." "I trust the bond, Damien," Alexander stated, the words a lie that felt like a terrifying, undeniable truth, a foreign current running through his veins. He trusted nothing where Mia was concerned, except the undeniable, magnetic pull of their shared destiny, a destiny now irrevocably tainted by blood and betrayal, yet still burning with an insistent flame. "And I trust my judgment. She will be a prisoner, not an ally. Not yet." Over the next few days, Mia existed in a tense, suffocating limbo within the meager Silverstone camp. Every wolf watched her with suspicion, their eyes burning with silent, unvoiced accusations, their low growls a constant, chilling reminder of their hatred. Damien was a relentless, intimidating presence, his snarl never far from his lips, his hand always near his hunting knife, his gaze a burning, unwavering accusation. Mia endured it all with a quiet, bone-deep stoicism that, against all odds, began to wear at Alexander's unyielding hatred. She didn't complain, didn't fight back, only met their glares with a profound weariness that spoke of immense suffering, of a torment that mirrored his own, yet was entirely hers. He questioned her relentlessly, often late into the cold, desolate nights, demanding every excruciating detail of Scott's insidious dark magic, the ancient, corrupted relic and the true, agonizing reason for the Silverstone massacre. Mia, her voice often hoarse from fear, exhaustion, and the sheer, crushing weight of her confessions, recounted a tale of insidious manipulation and gut-wrenching desperation. Scott, consumed by a hunger for power beyond any alpha's natural limits, had stumbled upon an ancient, forbidden ritual. It demanded the sacrifice of a pack's spiritual bond with its land and its Luna's essence to forge an unstoppable weapon of control. He had specifically targeted Silverstone, Mia revealed, because of its deep spiritual connection to its territory, its powerful alpha, and its renowned Luna, Mason's mother, who had been a gifted healer. Scott had offered Mia an unthinkable choice: help him weaken Silverstone, or he would unleash a corrupted, uncontrollable force upon the Autumn Pack, starting with their youngest and most vulnerable pups. He had used her fierce protectiveness of her pack against her, twisting her loyalties, whispering insidious lies until she truly believed Silverstone was a monstrous, conquering threat, a plague they had to eradicate for Autumn's very existence. He promised if I complied, Mia whispered one evening, her emerald eyes, wide and haunted, locked on Alexander's, reflecting the flickering firelight, revealing a raw vulnerability. He swore he would spare the pups. He told me he wouldn't truly destroy Silverstone, only reclaim its power for a greater, more balanced world. He made me believe that I was saving my pack, that I was the only one who could. A single tear escaped, tracing a clean path down her cheek, a stark streak through the dirt, a testament to her profound regret. I was a fool, Alexander, a desperate, blind fool. He devoured Silverstone, then he turned on Autumn, consuming our own essence, draining our land, twisting our very spirit, until only he remained strong. He's building an empire of desolation, of controlled, enslaved packs, fueled by the suffering of all. Alexander listened, his initial, burning rage warring with a chilling horror that crept into his bones, a sickness that settled deep in his gut. The specifics of Scott's dark magic, the systematic weakening of pack bonds, the manipulation of elemental energy, the defiling of sacred ground. It all sounded terrifyingly, sickeningly plausible. He'd seen the aftermath, the haunting emptiness in the land where Silverstone once flourished, the hollow grief in the eyes of his scattered survivors. And now, Scott was hunting Mia, not for revenge, but to claim her Luna power, to fuse it with his dark relic and become utterly unstoppable, an unchallengeable tyrant of all packs. Damien, who had been a silent, simmering presence during these agonizing confessions, scoffed, a guttural sound of pure disgust, raw and unconcealed. And you expect us to believe this fairy tale, Alpha? This elaborate excuse for slaughter? She destroyed us. She's merely trying to save her own skin. I don't expect you to believe me, Damien, Mia said, her voice surprisingly steady, imbued with a quiet, fierce dignity that shimmered in the tense air. But I expect you to choose. Trust your Alpha, trust the bond. Scott is a cancer. He will consume everything until nothing remains. He will come for you all eventually. The Rivers Pack is already under his thumb, their essence slowly drained, their spirit broken, their eyes devoid of light. She spoke of the Rivers Pack, a once proud, fiercely independent group, now rumored to be strangely subservient to Scott. Their once vibrant territory now eerily quiet, a dead zone. Tamara, the pack's elderly healer, a woman whose scent of ancient herbs and calm, knowing wisdom always settled over the tense clearing like a bomb, stepped forward. Her eyes, ancient and piercing, moved between Alexander and Mia, a silent judgment. "The mate bond," she murmured, her voice soft but firm, cutting through the lingering tension like a knife through silk. "It resonates with truth, my alpha. I feel no deception from the Luna's core, only immense pain, a profound, crushing guilt, and a desperate plea for light, for a chance to atone." Alexander's wolf roared his name within his mind, a primal demand for absolute, undeniable certainty. He stared at Mia, truly seeing her, for the very first time. Not just the war leader from his nightmares, but the vulnerable, desperate she-wolf whose emerald eyes held a raw, undeniable truth, a plea for redemption. The mate bond, once a source of agonizing torment, a searing brand of hatred, began to shift, slowly cooling, allowing a strange, fragile hope to bloom in its place, a hesitant, green shoot in barren ground. He hated Scott more than ever, a cold, burning fury that eclipsed all else, a deep-seated desire for justice. But now, his hatred for Mia was transmuted into a desperate, primal need to understand, to protect, to claim. "If this is true," Alexander said, his voice rough, thick with emotion, a gravelly sound of internal conflict. "If Scott truly manipulated you, if he's the monster you claim, what do we do? How do we stop him?" Mia's gaze hardened, her desperation replaced by a fierce, unyielding resolve that sparked like flint. "We fight, we rebuild, we break his power, together. And to do that, you need your Luna. You need me." Her words held no arrogance, only a fierce, unwavering determination that echoed with the ancient strength of Luna's past. "I may have been the weapon that destroyed your pack, Alexander, but I can also be the tool that rebuilds it, forged anew in the ashes of our past." The forced proximity continued, but the dynamic between Alexander and Mia began to profoundly, irrevocably shift. Alexander, driven by Mia's harrowing revelations and Tamara's quiet, knowing observations, started to rely on her. Mia, with her intricate, horrifyingly personal knowledge of Scott's precise, insidious tactics, his dark magic, and the inner workings of the Autumn Pack, whose surviving members were now unwilling pawns in Scott's twisted game, became an invaluable, terrifyingly effective asset. She helped Alexander track Scott's shadowy movements, predict his cunning attacks, and even devise counter-strategies based on her intimate, painful understanding of his ruthless, manipulative mind. Damien remained largely skeptical, his mistrust a palpable, bitter force, a wall of resentment. But even he, grudgingly, couldn't deny Mia's strategic brilliance or her unwavering dedication to Alexander and the Silverstone remnants. He saw her risk her life during Scott's escalating scouting raids, her fighting prowess still formidable, but now clearly aimed at protecting Alexander's scattered few. Lex, a young male eager to prove himself and deeply loyal to Alexander, was the first to openly show a hesitant respect, impressed by her cunning and surprising resilience. The mate bond between Alexander and Mia, once a source of agonizing conflict and deep-seated animosity, began to transform into something volatile, undeniably potent, and intoxicatingly dangerous. It pulsed with a raw, undeniable desire, a burning heat that defied their blood-soaked past, igniting a dangerous, undeniable spark between them. Their interactions became fraught with intense emotional tension, lingering resentment from Alexander, a desperate, yearning longing for Mia, and an undeniable physical attraction that threatened to consume them both in a conflagration of forbidden emotion, a dance on the edge of a precipice. One cold night, after repelling a particularly vicious raid from Scott's autumn wolves, Alexander found Mia patching up Lex's arm, her hands gentle and skilled, her brow furrowed in concentration. The sight, so domestic, so healing, twisted his gut with a confusing, almost agonizing mix of emotions he couldn't name. "You're good at this," he murmured, his voice rough, raw with unfamiliar tenderness that surprised even himself. Mia looked up, her emerald eyes meeting his across the flickering firelight. "I'm a healer by nature, Alexander. Before Scott, before the wars, I was Luna of Autumn, but also their primary healer. He twisted everything. He made me fight, made me destroy, but he couldn't erase who I am. He couldn't erase the healer within me." Alexander closed the distance between them, his wolf roaring her name, demanding to claim what was his, to finally possess the Luna who had tormented his soul. "You destroyed my pack," he rasped, his voice thick with both agonizing pain and overwhelming desire, a duality that tore at his being. "And I'm begging to help you rebuild it," she whispered, her hands reaching for his chest, her touch electrifying, sending shivers down his spine, igniting a fire in his blood. "I'm begging to be your Luna, Alexander, not out of fear but out of choice, out of a desperate, burning need to set things right, out of a love for you that defies everything we've been through, everything I did, everything I am." Their lips met, a fierce, desperate clash of pain and passion, of hatred and undeniable destiny. It was a kiss that promised vengeance, but also profound redemption, a bond forged not just in blood, but in the purifying fire of truth and the searing heat of shared pain, a desperate hope for a future they dared not imagine. The final confrontation with Scott arrived swiftly, a chilling storm brewing on the horizon, its dark clouds gathering. He had amassed a formidable force, combining the Autumn pack, now more like hollow, loyal drones under his dark influence, their eyes empty, and the Rivers pack, which he had completely subjugated through a pervasive, soul-draining magic. His ambition knew no bounds. He planned to perform the full ritual, using Mia as his ultimate, unwilling tool, to absorb the elemental power of all nearby territories, forging an empire of absolute darkness and unchallenged control. Alexander, Mia, and the Silverstone remnants were hopelessly outnumbered, their small pack a defiant bastion against Scott's overwhelming might. But they held a crucial, secret advantage: Mia's intimate, agonizing knowledge of Scott's precise weaknesses and the true nature of his dark magic. Tamara, the elderly healer, had also uncovered an ancient prophecy that spoke of a Luna with the power to unravel corrupted magic, hinting at Mia's true, unique potential as a force of elemental balance and restoration, a bringer of light to the encroaching shadows. The battle erupted in a desolate, rocky basin, a place Scott had chosen for its barrenness, its lack of natural spirit, perfect for amplifying his dark magic. The air became thick with the guttural roar of wolves, the sharp clang of claws on stone, and the acrid, sickening scent of corrupted magic. Scott, his eyes glowing with malevolent power, confronted Alexander directly, unleashing dark spells that twisted the very earth beneath them into jagged, hostile spikes. Mia fought fiercely by Alexander's side, her movements fluid and precise, a deadly dance, guiding his strikes, anticipating Scott's every cunning, brutal move. She wasn't just defending herself. She was fighting for Alexander, for the decimated Silverstone, and for her own profound redemption. His connection to the land. Mia screamed to Alexander, her voice raw with effort as she dodged a dark, grasping tendril of magic. He draws power from the corrupted earth. Sever his ties to it. Alexander understood. He changed his tactics, focusing his brutal attacks on the very ground around Scott, tearing at the gnarled, corrupted roots, forcing Scott to expend immense energy maintaining his twisted connection. Meanwhile, Mia, Her own latent powers, surging uncontrollably under the pressure, began to actively counter Scott's dark magic. She felt a profound pull to the untainted earth, a whisper of ancient balance, and instinctively channeled pure, vibrant elemental energy, forcing Scott's corrupted magic to unravel, like a tightly wound knot coming undone. The raw power thrummed through her veins, a terrifying but exhilarating force, revitalizing the very ground beneath their feet. Scott, sensing the terrifying shift in power, snarled, his eyes fixing on Mia with murderous, unadulterated intent. "You're supposed to be my tool, my sacrifice. You cannot defy me, pathetic Luna." He lunged for her, abandoning Alexander for a moment, his face a mask of primal rage, intending to silence her, to claim her, to extinguish her light. But Alexander intercepted him, a furious blur of muscle and rage. He slammed Scott against a sheer rock face, his emerald eyes blazing with the fierce, cold fire of long-awaited retribution. "You took everything from me," he roared, delivering blow after brutal blow, fueled by 5 years of agonizing pain and the absolute, primal need to protect his Luna. Mia, still channeling her awakened power, saw Scott's dark energy flicker, a crucial, exploitable vulnerability. "His core, it's unstable," she cried out. "The relic, it's his power source." Scott had been drawing immense, unholy power from the cursed relic he carried, a dark stone pulsating with malevolent energy, a parasite feeding on his soul. Realizing his true weakness, Alexander shifted his attack, his powerful jaws snapping, tearing the relic from Scott's desperate grip. As the stone hit the ground, Mia unleashed a wave of pure, cleansing earth magic, amplified by the now rejuvenated grove. The relic shattered, exploding into shards of inert, harmless rock. Scott screamed, a raw, guttural sound of utter defeat, his body writhing as the stolen power ripped away from him, leaving him withered and broken. He collapsed, his skin pale, his eyes devoid of their malevolent gleam, reduced to a pathetic, whimpering human. The battle turned immediately, decisively. Without Scott's dark influence, the Autumn Pack's confusion dissipated, their eyes clearing as if waking from a long, horrifying nightmare. They saw the truth of his manipulation. The Rivers Pack, seeing their subjugator defeated and his power extinguished, turned and fled, their will broken, their ambition shattered. The conflict was resolved. The silence that fell over the basin was heavy, profound, broken only by the ragged breathing of survivors and the gentle murmur of the now healing earth. Alexander stood over Scott, victorious, breathing heavily, but his gaze was filled not with pure revenge, but with a profound, weary resolve, a sense of grim satisfaction. He had won. He had avenged his pack, but the cost had been immense. Mia approached him, her face smudged with dirt and blood, but her emerald eyes shining with fierce love and a powerful, undeniable connection to the land. Alexander turned to her, his own gaze softening, pulling her into his arms. The embrace was fierce, desperate, full of years of unspoken longing and the incredible, undeniable triumph of their intertwined souls. "My Luna," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion, burying his face in her hair, inhaling her unique scent, wild herbs, fresh earth, and the undeniable, intoxicating magic of his Luna. "You saved us. You saved everything. You truly are Luna." "We saved each other, Alexander," she whispered, her hands cupping his face, her touch now imbued with calming elemental energy. "And our pack, all of us, Tamara, Damien, and the surviving Silverstone wolves gathered around them, their faces a mixture of exhaustion, relief, and profound awe. Damien, his usual skepticism finally replaced by stunned admiration, nodded, a rare, genuine smile touching his lips. She is Luna, Alpha, by blood and by power. She fought for us. She fought with us. She is truly worthy. Alexander formally acknowledged Mia before his pack, his voice ringing with renewed authority and a deep, all-consuming love. She is Mia, Alpha Luna of the Silverstone Pack. She fought to mend what was broken. She will lead us into a new era of strength and balance, forged from our pain. Months melted into years. The Silverstone Pack territory, once a desolate wasteland, became a vibrant, thriving heart of the forest. The land, profoundly healed by Mia's Luna power, flourished anew, its ancient magic restored. Builders from nearby human towns, paid fairly by Alexander from ancient, hidden reserves, worked tirelessly alongside Silverstone wolves, repairing cabins and restoring sacred pack structures. The pack, bolstered by defectors from Autumn who sought redemption, and new members drawn to their palpable strength and resilience, grew, becoming a formidable force once more. Scott, stripped of his power, reduced to a hollow shell, was imprisoned in the deepest parts of the territory, his fate left to the ancient laws of the pack, a grim symbol of the darkness they had overcome. Mia, now fully embraced as Alpha Luna, moved with quiet confidence, her emerald eyes reflecting the verdant growth of the land she now protected. Her connection to the primal earth spirit was undeniable, a constant source of healing and strength for her pack. She worked tirelessly alongside Tamara, her mentor, teaching younger wolves how to channel their own inherent powers, how to heal both body and spirit, and how to maintain the delicate balance between the human world and their wild nature. She healed the scars of the past, both on the ravaged land and within the very souls of the wolves. Alexander ruled with the profound wisdom of a king who had known utter loss and glorious rebirth. His reign was built not on vengeance, but on resilience, on forgiveness, and on the unbreakable bond with his Luna. He often found Mia in the newly vibrant sacred grove, where moon petal bloomed in abundance, the plant that had first soothed his torment and now flourished under her tender care. He'd pull her close, burying his face in her hair, inhaling her unique scent, wild herbs, fresh earth, and the undeniable, intoxicating magic of his Luna. "My Luna," he'd murmur, the words a sacred blessing. "You saved me. You brought me back. You restored our pack. You are my everything." Years melted into decades. The Silverstone Pack, under Alexander and Mia's compassionate and powerful rule, became more than just a thriving community. They became a cornerstone of werewolf history, a beacon of enduring love and true coexistence. Their children, strong and bright-eyed, with inherited emerald eyes and Mia's quiet strength, played in the very grove where their father had once stood alone amidst the ruins, and their mother had begged for a chance at redemption. They were told the tale of Scott's ultimate betrayal, of power stolen and reclaimed, and of a love so profound it broke a curse and rebuilt a kingdom, guided by the Alpha and his Luna, the one who fought for forgiveness and found her true place. Their bond was not just love. It was a profound connection that had reshaped their world, becoming a legend whispered through generations, an unbreakable tapestry woven from destiny, power, and unwavering choice. Please give us a like to show your support if you enjoyed the story, subscribe to our channel for more thrilling werewolf romance audiobooks, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new release.